She feared for her life. That's when she took off running, trying to go to the back door. They grabbed my daughter by her hair and broke her fingers and everything and shot her in the shoulder. And they took off running, but they all had a choice.
Would the offender please introduce yourself for the record, stating your name and DOC number?
Good morning, my name is Roderick Turner, number 476-446.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Let me explain the process to you. First, I will read information into the record, then the board will conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who have indicated to speak to have their input. First, can we please have counsel introduce herself for the record?
Good morning, Jane Hogan on behalf of Roderick Turner. I will make a statement at the end with the committee's approval.
Thank you, Ms. Hogan. We have three who are here in support. We have Ms. Vivian Mosley, sister, who will be speaking. With her is Ms. Alice Turner, mother, who will be speaking. And we also have Ms. Jocelyn Turner, daughter, who will not be speaking. We have four who are here in opposition. We have Mr. David Duhan, victim's family, who will be speaking. Ms. Marsha Duhan, victim family, who will be speaking. Ms. Katrina Chambers, victim's family, who will be speaking. And Mr. Corey Arsenault, victim family, who will not be speaking. At the end, Mr. Turner, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand the process, sir?
Ma'am, I do.
Okay, this is the case for Broderick Turner, DOC number 476446, date of birth, October 6, 1972, classified as a third felony offender, offenses, manslaughter, 3 counts, and contraband. Sentencing date, February 13, 2004, and June 24, 2014. Sentenced to a total of 35.5 years. Parole date, August 1st, 2021. Good time, November 16, 2029. Full term, April 4th, 2036. Is this information correct, sir?
Ma'am, it is.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson.
All right, good morning, Mr. Turner. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. I'm doing fine, Ms. Jackson. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm fine. Mr. Turner, your case has been assigned to me, so I'll start the questioning for the board. You are 49 years old?
Yeah, ma'am.
And you're kind of muffled. You were having a hard time hearing you.
Yes, ma'am. I'm 49 years old. Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
And this case involved the death of 3 people. And you received a 35-year sentence to run concurrently. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And then you got an additional 6 months after this for contraband in a penal institution. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. That is correct.
How long have you actually served on this sentence, Mr. Turner?
21 years, just about to the day.
Tell us, I know that there were other individuals involved in the commission of this crime, but would you tell us what your role was in this crime?
I was an active participant in this crime, willingly went along with some friends to commit a robbery. during the course of this robbery,
let me ask you a question. Had you and your friends traveled here from Texas?
Yes, ma'am, we did.
Was it the same day? Did you all drive directly here and then go to the victim's home?
No, ma'am, we didn't. We came directly here, and we spent some time with some young ladies and another friend of ours out in the neighborhood.
Well, how long were you in town before you all went to the victim's house?
Maybe about 2 to 3 hours.
So basically, it was the same day. You drove in from Houston, hung out for a little bit with some friends, and then you went to the victim's house. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
What was the purpose of going to that home?
Supposedly to collect some money from a guy that owed my friend some money.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. What did y'all talk about on the drive? Because 4 or 5 hours? What did you guys talk about on the drive from Texas to Louisiana about what was going to happen and how y'all were going to accomplish your purpose?
Actually, Ms. Jackson, there was no robbery talked about none of the way here. It was actually a drive to initially meet up with some young ladies and the guy that's from my neighborhood. That conversation didn't come up until after we got here, but I was aware of the situation once it was talking.
Okay. I think I read somewhere that you indicated that you actually tied the victim's hands.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So you tied their hands and feet, you tied their hands behind their back.
We tied 3 of the men up.
Mm-hmm.
The young lady that was in the house, she said that she was pregnant. So we didn't like that. We just told her to lay on the couch and put her face in the back of the couch because she said she was pregnant. She couldn't be tied up like that.
But she got shot anyway and killed, correct?
Ma'am, she did.
And then there was a 4th person who was shot and he played dead. And he was a surviving witness.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is.
Okay. And for the death of 3 people and the attempted murder of a 4th person, he only got 35 years. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, that is true.
Okay. All right, you've been in prison for 21 years. I see that you've earned 390 days of good time credit, but I also see that along the way you lost 217 days. Tell us how you ended up losing 217 days of credit.
Early on in my incarceration, I hadn't done to put my best foot forward, hadn't made a change. I was enduring and catching write-ups at the time in which I was, doing different things, gambling tickets. On there, I even got caught with some synthetic marijuana at that time. As I said early on in my incarceration, I hadn't yet begun to even try to make a transition or a change for the better.
Okay, so I see you've had 38 disciplinary write-ups. Does that sound about right to you?
That's just about approximately right. They was having a little issue with the write-ups. There was Broderick Turner, not taking away from my responsibility of me owning up in it. But
all right. But you had you had a couple expunged, but I counted that before that expungement you had 38. So I would believe that the records are accurate as to the 38. And the last one was in 2000. Hold on. Okay, when was your last one?
If my memory serves me correctly, I think it was August
2016. I show one in 2016 for disobedience. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you remember what that incident was about?
I think it was for smoking a cigarette. I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was for back then.
Okay. So when did you said that when you first got there, you weren't in the right mindset. So when did you make a change? And what caused you to make a change, Mr. Turner?
If I may explain this, I got in trouble times in 2014. That's a far cry from the time that I was incarcerated. But thereafter, shortly thereafter, being in trouble at the end of 2014, in 60 days later, got into some trouble. At that point, that was like a breaking point for me. Having just experiencing doing the same old things and getting the same old results. As I sat there in administrative segregation, I reflected on those things that I was doing.
How long were you in administrative segregation?
At that time, I was in there maybe about 5 months, 5.5 months.
Okay. And then what happened when you got out?
Well, Ms. Jackson, to tell you the truth, I actually decided that I wanted to make a change, and I wanted to start doing, put my best foot forward to make that change. And I began to seek classes, faith-based classes and self-help classes, in which I was accepted into and completed.
How long have you been at the facility you're in currently?
I'm 1 month shy of 18 years here.
Okay. I see that you've done Cage Your Rage in 17, Living in Balance 1 and 2 in 19, and pre-release in 2018. I see that you got a degree from Wiley College in 2019, and you've done some faith-based programs.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you done victim awareness?
That program has not been offered here at the facility.
Okay, so it's not offered at the facility? Was it offered as part of the pre-release?
We're learning that in pre-release, it's taught, but I would think you was talking about an individual class.
Well, there is an individual class, but I'm just wondering if you've had any.
Yes, ma'am. Doing reentry, I have.
So from all the courses that you've taken, Mr. Turner, which ones have been most important in your development, your growth and development?
Ms. Jackson, I would honestly, and not just saying it just because it was a year-long program, I would have to say NOBTS. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
I am. Yeah. So why was that most impactful?
Well, I come from a family to where my mother was the sole breadwinner and my father was an alcoholic. So dysfunction is the word I would use. And it was talked about a lot in there. And, you begin to see these things that took place in your life at a younger age. And, as I began to grow and start to search for positive things and doing positive things, I sought after the why. Why was I doing these things? And why was I taking myself through these things? And in that class is a group. You're allowed to hear other people talk about their situations and stuff. And then I began thus to open up these things I started to see and that I've experienced in my life, and eventually, grew from that.
Well, help me understand then what was going on in your life that would cause you to participate in this horrific murder of 3 people.
Ms. Jackson, I didn't have no sense of direction. I mean, I'm hanging out every day with my friends, we're drinking.
You're probably 27 in that range, 27, 28.
I can admit that. I'm not going to try to solely blame it on that.
I understand, but I want to know what I mean. A lot of people have stuff going on in their lives. A lot of people have difficult circumstances. I want to know why you think you what caused you to choose to be involved in the murder of 3 people?
I mean, the word following comes to mind as well. Just not on the path that I was raised on, and making bad decisions, making terrible decisions.
Were you a user of alcohol and drugs?
Yes, I was, man.
Tell us about that.
My father passed at an early age, maybe around 15. I was 15, and I started to first out drinking alcohol all the time, out with my friends or whatever. And eventually, around the time I was about 19, going into 20, I began to smoke marijuana, and eventually tried PCP.
Okay, so marijuana and PCP, is that the only thing that you've used?
Yes, ma'am, and I've drank alcohol.
Okay. Were you under the influence of anything on the date of these homicides?
Yes, ma'am, I was. We had been drinking and smoking weed.
Okay. What would you say, Mr. Turner, to the families of these 3 people who were murdered, one of whom was a pregnant woman, to tell them why you think you have a release date by good time in 29. You've only served 21 years. You only got 35 years for killing 3 people. That's less than 10, a little over 10 years per homicide. Why do you think you should get out early in light of the serious and horrific nature of this crime, and in light of the fact that you do have a release date that no matter what, you're going to get out on that date? So why would you think that you should be released early instead of being required to serve out the full balance of your sentence?
Ms. Jackson, in my defense, I only can say that I've come a long way. But first, not talking about me, I want to acknowledge the family by saying how very truly and remorseful I am in this situation. This was a very unnecessary and horrific, tragic crime that happened. I'm not going to no way try to cheat myself out of owning up to my responsibilities and my participation in this. Had I had a chance to even come close to stopping this, and again, not trying to take away from any guilt of me being it, but if I just had the chance to even try to stop this incident from happening, I truly believe in my heart that I would have, because this was so very unnecessary.
Explain to me why you didn't have the opportunity to stop it. You were there. You were part of it. You tied the victims up.
Yeah, we tied the victims up with no knowledge.
You.
Yes, ma'am. I tied the victims up with no knowledge of their life being taken.
Why do you think they were being bound with their hands behind their backs and their feet bound? You were 27 years old. You were in that life.
Yes, ma'am.
And you knew what was about to go down.
I tied the victims up, ma'am, so we can go out throughout the house and search the house. That's where I was at.
They couldn't have done that while one person was holding them at gunpoint and another person looked throughout the house?
I mean, it was 5 of us, and
that's my point.
It was two guys taking the rims out the house and putting them in the car. I was in the back room of the house searching the house when these shots was fired. It was only one person in the living room with these people, as there was only one weapon in the situation. I was in the back of the house, Ms. Jackson. That's why I said, had I been there present.
So was the victim. So was the victim. And the surviving victim said that he heard a single gunshot come from the room where the victim was shot. So she wasn't shot on the sofa. She was shot in another room.
Ms. Jackson, I'm not trying to debate the fact of the matter, but these three men were shot as I made my way back to the living room. This incident happened in
Where was the female victim?
She was still, all right. She hadn't exited the room. She's still in a part of the living room. You have a kitchen door and a door that leads to the room that go into the back to where the bedrooms are. She was still in the section of the living room. She ran across the living room. When she ran across the living room, across my path, I jumped back out of her way. I mean, I was delirious, you know, having made it back to the front and seeing gun smoke in the air and everything, you know. And when
so where was she when she was shot?
In the living room. She was right there before the kitchen door of the living room. Is the men. The men were laying in the middle of the living room, and she was.
And where was she? And where was she?
She was right next to the door of the kitchen of the living room.
Is that where she got shot?
Yeah, that is where she got shot. I saw her.
So not laying on the sofa like you first said.
No, ma'am. After the gunshots, when I came back into the living room, she was running around the living room.
Okay, I'm just repeating what you said. I've been sitting here listening. You said she was laying on the sofa. They brought her, the entire hands behind her. They just had her lay on the sofa with her face down in the sofa. Those were your words, not mine. Those were your words.
And I tied the men up. That's when she said that she was pregnant. When we first entered the house and I tied the men up, we told her to lay on the couch and put her face in the back of the couch. This was during the course of the robbery.
And she got up off the sofa and was running around?
Yeah, she had got up off the couch and running around in the living room, and she came by me when I came into the living room. These three men had been shot. She was off the couch now after they were shot. As I said, it was only one.
At what point did you say, please don't shoot this woman, she's pregnant?
I didn't. I was frozen, Ms. Jackson. I did not.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Turner. That's all I have. Mr. Wise, you're muted.
Okay, at this time, no other questions there. I see we have some speakers there. Miss Vivian, if you would unmute your mic, we're going to try to cut it down to about 3 minutes because we have so many people going to be speaking today. Just go ahead and give your statement so we can get move along. Okay, thank you, Miss Vivian.
Let my mom speak first. Yeah, good morning to the committee. My name is Alice Mason. I'm Broderick's mother. And I first like to start off by saying, in the scripture, the Bible says, raise up a child in the way he should go. And when they get old, they won't depart from it. And I like to say to the committee today, that is exactly what I did. Raise Broderick the way he should go. And right now, I believe he has brought that scripture to life, to truth. In my heart, I believe he's ready. Over the past years that I visited, wrote, talked to Broderick. He said I preached to him, but I talked to him over and over. And I noticed the great change in his life. That when he went in as a boy, now he's a man. And I do believe that he's ready to come out and do what's good and right. Take responsibility, reach out to help somebody else so they won't go down the path that he went down. So this is why I know he's ready. And I'm here to support him spiritually, physically, mentally, financially, and relationship. And I'll do the best I can. And I'd like to thank y'all for giving me a chance to speak.
Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. Just as my mother has stated, I have also witnessed my brother grow and change tremendously over the years, not in any way taken away from who he once was, but he has changed. My brother and I were like Tom and Jerry, is like I would describe it, as children, and we didn't have the tightest relationship then. But over these years, just seeing how he has changed in the way he thinks, the way he views the world, the way he thinks spiritually, what he expects out of life, what he wants to contribute in life, his passion for life and wanting to give back. He has changed, not just, you know, in being sorrowful, but just also wanting to change other people. You know, I always tell him it's each one reach one type mentality. You may not be able to save entire community, but if you can save one and you can save another, it's kind of like what I do myself. You know, you always try to reach out and help another person, anything that you learn and as you grow. And this is what I've seen happen in my brother. He has helped me so many times over the years. We've been a counselor to one another, and the way that he has been able to counsel me in life, even though he is where he is, he's been a counselor to me over the last 20 years. And he has helped me to grow, and he has helped me to make better decisions in life for myself. And for that reason, I have been able to build a life where I can now offer him some stability to support him on behalf of the entire family. So where if he's allowed to be here, that he has a home, he has transportation, he has employment, so that he can be a viable member to society and he can contribute in a positive manner and be the man that he has become.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, I see in opposition today, Ms. Marsha Duhan.
Mr. Wise, just, yes, you're correct.
In opposition speaking is Ms. Marsha Duhan, the victim's family. If you would go ahead and speak, we're limited on time here because of being on the Zoom.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Ms. Marsha.
Okay, my name is Marsha Duhan. I'm Kimberly's Duhan Salva's mother. And I would like to say, Your Honor, oh Lord, I understand Broderick, maternal mama. I'm a mother too. But her son have my daughter's blood on his hands. He had a choice to turn around and help my daughter, and he chose not to. And like they said, he tied them down like some dogs. And my daughter sit on that couch begging for her life and telling them that she was pregnant. And the living room and the den is connected together. He was in another room, he's saying, but everything was connected together. My daughter sit there and begged for her life. When they shot Jack Charles and her daddy, his daddy, she feared for her life. That's when she took off running, trying to go to the back door. They grabbed my daughter by her hair and broke her fingers and everything and shot her in the shoulder. And they took off running, but they all had a choice to help save my daughter and Jack. They had one gun, 5 men. They could have told him, no, we're not going to do this. But they chose to go that path. So I figured they got 35 years from killing 4 people. That's less of time. So I'm figuring I would want them to spend all their time in jail. And maybe he is changed. But my daughter don't have that chance. I don't have a chance to go see my daughter or anything. His mama got a chance to go see him and his sister, even if he have kids. I don't have that. They took my daughter and my grandbaby away from me. So I want him to spend his 4th term in there. Because it's
Okay,
nothing.
thank you, Ms. Mark.
Okay.
Also, we have a speaker, Mr. David Duhon, the victim's family today would be speaking. Go ahead, sir. Unmute your mic.
How you doing? I'm David Duhon. I'm Kimberly Duhon Salver's brother. With everything that's going on, like my mom, you know, Mr. Turner took a big portion of our life away from us. And it's nothing nobody can do or say about it. You know, like, they're gone. They're never coming back. He, like she said, his parents and sister family have the opportunity to go visit and see him and still talk to him over the phone. My sister was my best friend. I never did nothing without my sister. I moved out of that house 2 days before my sister got killed. I lived in that house, you know, and it's hard for me to do anything because that's all I remember is my sister. You know, like, right now I'm 39 years old. I was 18 when my sister got killed. To this day, I still have no friends at all. Cause that was my only friend that I had. You know, she would never come back. And my life would never be the same since, you know. And it's just for them to try to get out on parole early and everything, I really don't. I think that this shouldn't be accountable, you know, like, because you still have your life, even though you're spending it behind walls. You still have your life. You're still breathing and everything. My sister's not.
Okay, Mr. David, we appreciate your statement there. At this time, Katrina Chambers will be speaking from the victim's family.
Yes, this is Katrina Chambers. I am the sister of Harold Sarver, who was killed first. I am also the daughter of the surviving victim, which I have now lost my father and my mother due to this because of the grief that they had to go through. So no, I don't feel Mr. Broderick needs to be released early. 35 years is an easy sentence because his mom and dad and his siblings and sisters and brothers, they can visit him. He took away my nephew's dad. I had to raise them. They were 4 and 6 when y'all decided to go in there that night. And like Mr. Duhorn said, he had a choice. He could have walked away, but he tied him up. And regardless if he was in another area of the house or whatever, when he heard that first gunshot, that was his chance to run. But he did not run. He stayed there, and like the cowards they ran back home to Texas and did a whole manhunt to search for these gentlemen. And if it was not for my father, we wouldn't have known who have done this. So I don't believe he deserves to be released early. I believe that he needs to do the whole 35 years and be accountable for what he done. He'll be home in another 10 years, and I believe that he should wait.
Okay, thank you very much there. At this time, no other one to be speaking here. At this time, Mr. Turner, anything you'd like to say to the board?
First, I'd like to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to speak to the victim's family in my show and to tell them how very sorry I am and remorseful I am in this situation. There are some decisions that could have been made in this incident, this crime, that wasn't made. I was dismayed at the same time and not trying to shy away from the situation, but I was delirious at the time myself.
If you would, talk closer to the mic, or somebody needs to turn the volume up over there.
Can you hear me, Mr. Wise?
Yeah, speak loud and clear. Slide it over there to you or something so you can speak loud and clear.
I'll hold it here, sir. I was speaking concerning the victim's family and not trying to shy away from the situation or anything. I'm understanding fully what they're saying about I had a choice and things of this nature. I have never been in an incident like this here and wished I hadn't, but I was. And at the time of this situation, as I said, I was delirious and dismayed myself, having never been in anything like this. I wanted to tell them again how very sorry I am and remorseful I am that this even happened and I participated in this. Since this incident, speaking of myself and the way that I've grown spiritually and matured and equipped myself with these things to not even, to have the mindset to not even look at traveling down these types of roads, doing these types of wrongs, living in this manner. I take out every day, as I've accomplished a lot here in the time that I've been here, to build my character as a person, to be trusted, to be relied upon, to carry out responsible things here. At the time that I've been here, I've equipped myself and surrounded myself with my family and continue to keep myself in positive environments and taking my best foot forward to go do these things.
All right. Thank you very much. Ms. Jane Hogan.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Turner admits fully his participation in this horrific crime. He pled guilty and received his sentence with the stipulation that he would testify against Charles Winfrey and he would cooperate fully in any future prosecutions. Mr. Turner has now served approximately 60% of his sentence. In that time, I know that the warden didn't give input, but he is a trustee. He's worked for the warden. He works in administration right now. He's worked at the warden's house. He has jobs that indicate a very high level of trust. In addition to the college degree and courses that were mentioned, he also has completed a parenting course. He has a low risk of recidivism under Tiger. He's an active participant in his church. He's attended NAAA meetings, a year long of NOBTS, as he mentioned. He has also participated for 15 years as a coach and participant in sporting events, mentoring younger people on the softball team, traveling around to different facilities. All of that indicates a great change that's occurred in Mr. Turner throughout the last 21 years. If he is granted release, he has a interstate parole agreement that has been approved to his sister's house in Georgia. He's not going back to Texas. He is not staying in Louisiana. He has an approved ICOTS to Georgia to live with his sister and who is going to provide employment and to help care for his 87-year-old mother. We would submit that Mr. Turner is in, this is a good time to release Mr. Turner, considering he has a low risk of recidivism, considering he has tremendous family support that is behind him, and also considering all of the programs and the accomplishments that he has been able to achieve in the last 21 years. So we would ask this board to grant Mr. Turner release with any conditions that are deemed appropriate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, be voting be Ms. Bonnie Jackson.
Mr. Turner, you have accomplished a lot. You really have. You had a rocky start with the write-ups. You got a contraband conviction while incarcerated. You've taken some good programs. You've done some work on yourself. But sometimes, Mr. Turner, what you have done can't possibly outweigh the crime. We don't always look at the crime itself, because we know all of them, for the most part, are horrible. But this one is particularly egregious. 4 people were shot, and had one not pretended to be dead, we'd have 4 victims. 3 people were murdered. You were allowed, for your own self-interest, shall we say, to testify. And you got a single 35-year sentence for actively participating in the death of 3 people. You are only 49 years old, and you have a good time release date in 2029. I just can't say that the amount of time that you have served on this crime is sufficient in light of the magnitude of the harm that you have caused so many people and these families. You are in a place, and I'm glad you've grown. I'm glad you've accomplished some things, but you are surrounded by people where you are that can benefit from your mentoring, your instruction, your helping. You don't have to be outside to help. People inside need help just as much as those outside.
Yeah.
But for me today, I'm not ready to say that 21 years is sufficient for taking 3 lives. In light of the strong victim opposition, Mr. Turner, my vote today is to deny.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for
Mr.
hearing me out.
Marabella?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Turner, I echo everything that Judge Jackson has said. You've worked hard. You've done a lot of good, positive things. You're on the right track, but sometimes the crime itself, sometimes the consequences, the grief, the pain that's caused by those crimes, a sufficient sentence has to be served. You were given a tremendous break. I mean, you put yourself at risk by agreeing to testify, but nevertheless, you got a tremendous break. I just, like Ms. Jackson, I just don't think what the time you've done so far is sufficient. Perhaps if you reapply in the next couple of years, but even before your good time date, your result may be different. But today, my vote, based upon law enforcement opposition, victim opposition, and insufficient time served, would be to deny as well.
Thank you, sir.
At this time, I'm going to be voting. I vote to deny. I am the same as my colleagues here. Hey, you're doing a good job there, but there's some consequences here. You got probably one of the best breaks you could have got. We got strong victims opposition, law enforcement opposition to this release. Thank you very much.
Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you got a chance to see the beautiful pictures of the people in this case. But I wanted to talk about the audacity of the offender. He received a 35.5-year sentence for a triple murder, and on top of that, he crossed state lines. He even dodged the death penalty. And this is all because he struck a deal with the DA to testify against his co-defendant, Charles Winfrey. Nevertheless, this is still an idiotic crime. The fact that they traveled from Texas to Louisiana gave them plenty of time to really think about what they were doing. There are very few reasons to justify killing someone, and this is not one of them. If someone is running away from their life, let them run away. There were some news clippings about this case. However, the information that I found from that platform was very choppy. But I did find another article that was more thorough, so I'll post that link in the description box. But to the people that have lost their lives in this incident, I would like to say rest in peace. You guys are some beautiful people, and you didn't deserve any of this.